I'm Amanda, and this is Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode. Today, I have Amy of Quito Quilts. I met Amy at QuiltCon and immediately was smitten. So I hope you know who she is, Quito Quilts. She is called Quito Quilts because she lives in Quito, Ecuador. So wild. Don't worry, we talk all about how she ended up there and how she ended up quilting and being a long armor in Quito, Ecuador. She's also a lit professor. She was a lit professor in the States and now is a lit professor in Ecuador. She has recently also started teaching a sewing quilting class at the university where she works, which is so amazing. Anyway, I could gush for hours. If you've seen Amy's social media, she does the long arming quilting dance challenge. You can check out the hashtag quilt dance challenge. Anyway, the energy is just immaculate, and I hope you enjoy this episode with Amy of Quito Quilts. Well, hi, Amy. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hey, Amanda, Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. I'm great. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, we met at QuiltCon, so that was fun. It was just like random. I was sitting on one of the like windowsill things off the side of the stairs and we just started chatting and I don't even know what started the conversation. Like
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I was with Dee of Pixel Quilt and our friend Carrie, and
yeah,
yeah.
just random, but so great. And so of course I was like, well, you have to be on the show because obviously.
And I'm just coming down from I've been on a QuiltCon high for a while, so I'm
Yeah.
finally like, getting more grounded. It was exciting. Loved it. It was my first QuiltCon.
Mine too.
It
Mine
was
too.
amazing.
Yeah, it was so good. I'm so excited for Phoenix. And like, do you think you'll go again this coming year or do you?
Yeah, 100%. I have
Yeah.
to. Yeah. I loved it. Phoenix is a bit further for me, but yeah, no, I plan on going. I was so excited about it that now I'm also going to England to the Festival of Quilts in August. And again, I'll go to Houston. It'll be my second time at Houston. Yeah.
Okay. I've never been to Houston, but
Yeah, you should go. And if you get a chance, going to Quilt Market was amazing. I loved Quilt Market.
it looks fun and everybody I've talked to that's been has just loved it. So, okay. So, we have a lot of things to talk about because one, you're in Ecuador, which is so cool, and you're a long armor, and we need to know all the things. So, you can pick, do you want to start with how the hell did you end up in Ecuador or do you want to start with how you got quilting?
Great. Let's start with Ecuador because I
Okay.
am super passionate about where I live and love to tell people about it.
Okay.
I'm from Indiana and I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for quite a while. I was a high school teacher,
Mm.
teaching literature and English. Then I got my doctorate, and my doctorate was in education. So then I became a professor of teachers getting their masters. And so this happened. I was working at Indiana University Southeast, and we had this class called Teaching in Ecuador. And it was like a summer class. So I took teachers to Ecuador 3 times for the
Oh.
summer and absolutely fell in love with Ecuador. The weather, the people, the pace of life, everything. And it was kind of one of those things where you hear people like, oh, I just love to sell everything and move.
Mhm.
I absolutely did exactly that. I did. I just took a huge risk. I sold my house, my car, everything, packed 3 suitcases and moved to Ecuador.
Oh my
And
God.
that was 13 years ago. And yeah, so I did it. I like followed that dream, and
Yeah.
now I'm a professor here at an amazing university, and that's how I ended up here. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. I'm jealous? I don't know. Envious? No. I'm excited for you because I think I have the dream of my husband and I want to move to Spain
Mm.
eventually. And so like talking to people and seeing that people have actually just done it, I'm like, okay, I can do it too eventually. Like but
Yeah.
that's so exciting. And so what do you teach in are you still teaching literature or what's
Oh
Which
yeah, my passion was, literature to begin with. And so yeah, I've gone back to teaching literature and writing here at a liberal arts university, the only liberal arts university in Ecuador. And I teach in English and I teach LGBT literature, which is the only LGBT class in the whole country, and it's
wow,
amazing. I teach poetry. But this semester, I proposed a patchwork and quilting class for the textile arts minor, and I'm teaching quilting.
that's so cool. I've seen your posts about it. It's so
It's
cool.
amazing. Yeah, so here we don't have a lot of quilters. It's fairly new as far as patchwork. I mean, there's some quilters, but for the students, they're like, what? What is
Yeah.
this? And they are absolutely doing amazing. They love it. I asked people to donate some fabric because we don't have 100% quilting cotton here.
Sure.
And tons of people donated at QuiltCon. And so I brought back 2 suitcases full of fabric, and my students just like went nuts, and they're making great things with it.
That's fantastic. And what a fun thing to bring to into the zeitgeist of their culture, their experience of being in Ecuador, but like, no, let me show you this really cool thing. And not to say that there isn't, factions of some kind of quilting like in every culture, because we see it all the time, but it's just so fun to like show people something new and help them learn and learn a skill. Because honestly, sewing in itself, whether you're quilting or making garments or bags or whatever, like sewing is such a fantastic skill to have just in life in general. So that's
100%. Like we started with English paper piecing because I wanted to start with like, yeah, you need to know how to sew, like
mhm,
by hand. And they were like totally into it. I didn't think they would like it, and they loved it. And they produced some great pieces of just, like a block, English paper piecing. And
mhm.
then moving to the machine, it was like exciting and scary. And
Yeah.
and now they're getting it. And so it's pretty cool. I have 10 students. Because we only have 2 machines, which is really hard to share. So I brought one of my own. So then we're rocking 3 machines.
Mhm.
And next semester they're supposed to buy 2 more machines, I think, because
Oh.
they wanted to test the class out. And so yeah, it's really cool. And I'm also learning weaving right now.
Oh.
So weaving is very big here in Ecuador, and we have a weaving class, and it's the most popular class, and it's a frame weaving. So I'm actually taking the class with the students and the weaving teacher because it's so popular. They need another teacher for the
Oh.
weaving. And I'm like, oh, I would love, like, now I just want to be an art teacher, right? I
Yeah.
just because it's so fun. So yeah, hopefully next semester I'll be teaching 2 literature and then 2 art, quilting and weaving. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so fun. It's like you just never know where quilting's gonna take you because it's just a skill that you're like, "Oh, I just do this for fun," or whatever, however you start, and then it always seems to like lead to something else and something bigger if you're open to it. I think the openness to change, which you clearly have that because you moved so far away and sold everything to do so and like followed your passion, like I think that's where doors open for people is when you're open to that and allow that into your life and just embrace it because you can't change or you can't find these opportunities if you're not open to even seeing that they're there.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I feel like that's been huge for me, is taking that risk and then following that passion. Like with quilting, it has been an obsession for me to absolutely become good, at long arming. And so it became like an obsession. And I mean, as well as a passion, of course. But
Yeah.
so now it's opening more doors for me, and it's great. Love
Yeah.
it. So yeah, Ecuador, I don't know if you've seen where I live, but I have like a little studio on my top floor of our house, and it has these big windows. And so I
Hmm.
have, this amazing view. People are like, your view. I'm like, I know it's the Andes Mountains. Like, yeah. So the view, the mountains, the weather is. I live at the equator in a suburb of Quito, and so it is 70 degrees year round. And so people think, oh, it's hot here. Where I live, no. On the coast, yeah, it's hot. But where I live, because we live at 10,000 feet, it
Mm.
is a cool 70. So it's like spring weather, but every day, like
Yeah.
every day, the sun rises at 6 a.m. Every day it sets at 6 p.m. Like
Yeah.
every clockwork. Love
That's
it.
That's gotta be so nice. That's gotta be so nice. Like, it's gross here right now, so, um, yeah, but I could live with that. And I was gonna say it's probably, like, elevation, if you're in the near the mountains, then that's gonna definitely change the temperature, but man.
Yeah, and the other reason I love living here and wanted to move here was in the US. I mean, I had a great job and I had my dream job. I was a professor. I wanted to be a professor. And but the pace of life for me was work, 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 money, money, money,
Mhm.
work, 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 money.
Mhm.
And it was just like that rat race that I was like, you know what, I think there's more. I think there's more to life. And
Yeah.
when I would come to Ecuador, I was like, oh, like people would like, just be like at the park,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
enjoying their family or going for a walk or a hike. And I was like, I think, yeah, it was more like living life than work, 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 money, money, money. And so
Mhm.
I wanted that,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see why not. I mean,
right?
and even when you try to, like, create that within the US, which I'm trying to do, there's still, like, this hustle culture and this, like, push of, like, "Well, you gotta work harder. Oh, you're not doing enough for your business. Oh, like, you need to be on Instagram 24/7. If you're gonna sell anything, you need to do that." It's like, "Shut up. Shut up." Like,
Right.
"Turn down the volume. We're gonna just slow down for a minute and take this day by day." But it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But that's so nice that you were able to find that the
Mhm.
pace of life that you like that makes you feel comfortable to do the stuff that you wanna do and take those risks, and I think that can be hard if you feel like you're never doing enough or there's all this pressure to, like you said, work, 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 money, money, money. The avenue to take risks is, like, so narrow in all of that, and so that's amazing. Did you have, like, were people trying to hold you back, or were you, like, fully supported? Did you feel like it was something that people were encouraging for you?
I think people were surprised and confused, and my friends, I think, all were like, "Oh, she'll be back," because like a long, long time ago, before that, when I was 20, I went in the Peace Corps,
Mm,
and I was supposed to be there for 2 years, but I only lasted 2 months, and I came back. I was in Kazakhstan, and it was just a hard environment for me. It
yeah.
was a big change, and I was like, "No, I don't like this," and so my friends were like, "Oh, she'll be back. Like, maybe she'll last a year." My mom, yeah, she wasn't very super supportive. Like, why would you move? Why would you want to do that? And
Mhm,
so then, yeah, I'm pretty strong-willed and was like, I'm going. So either you accept it or don't. So yeah, but my friends were wrong. I've been here 13 years. So, and I have built an amazing life here. I mean, I went from 3 suitcases to, I have like a house and car and a couple dogs and a country house in the mountains. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like the life that I've built here is pretty awesome.
yeah. Gosh, that's so cool. I'm, like, elated for you that that's
So,
something you took the challenge to do for yourself and followed that because I think too often we ignore our passions. We ignore the things that light us up because, again, the work, 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 money, money, money kind of takes over and those fears take over. But, ooh, I just love to see it. That's so cool. So where kind of in all of that did quilting come into the picture?
yeah, so a year before I moved to Ecuador, I got sober.
Mm,
Um, I was like a little struggling and got sober. And so I needed some creative outlet.
mm,
And I didn't know where it came from, but I was like, I'm gonna bring quilting back. I don't know what part of me thought quilting was ever gone because it wasn't gone. But in my mind, it was gone and I'm going to bring it back. So this was in 2010.
okay.
Bought a sewing machine. I had learned to sew in like middle school when we had like home economics class. And I
Yeah.
remember enjoying it, but that was the only time I had ever sewn with a machine or even by hand. And so yeah, I bought this machine and like I'm gonna quilt and I think YouTube had just started. I don't know. So that's what I mean. I was definitely self-taught. I made the like, of course, my first quilt is going to be a king because that's
Yeah.
crazy. And
Yeah.
did a crazy quilt, like an improv, and I just like fell in love. I was obsessed. I loved it. So then I made some quilts for friends and some baby quilts, never followed a pattern, just made like improv. And so then I also learned to like do a stipple meandering with a free motion foot. And I'm like, oh, this
Mhm.
is so cool. I had never heard of long arms. I had never, like, I had been to Joann's Fabrics and that was it.
Yeah.
And so then I'm going to move to Ecuador. So when I moved here, I did buy a sewing machine pretty quickly because I was all alone.
Yeah.
I haven't had anyone yet. And so I made some, smaller quilts. I learned that there wasn't really batting here. There was horrible fabric. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
So I quilted a little and not much. And then within that next year, I did start drinking again.
Oh no.
So my quilting journey goes with this being sober thing.
Sure.
So this goes on, just living my life here in Ecuador, loving it, drinking, everything's fine. But when the pandemic hit,
Mhm.
so it was really hard for me. It was horrible for everyone, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
it really messed me up. And I was drinking a lot
Mm.
during the time. I think a lot of people were, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I need to like check myself before I wreck myself at
Yeah.
this point. And I know what to do. I need to like get sober.
Yeah.
So I did. And then quilting came back into my life at the exact right moment. Like, I feel like quilting saved me, which sounds like crazy, but it
No.
really, yeah. So I bought a new machine. I'm like, oh, I want this new machine, like a brother, right? A
Mhm.
domestic. So I start, during the pandemic, I'm like quilting and I'm making masks and,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really into it. And then one day I see an ad for a sewing store in Quito,
Mm.
and it had a brother domestic on a frame, like a hoop frame,
Yeah.
which was Brother Dream Frame, which is discontinued. And
Mm.
I don't know how they had it because quilting's not a thing here, but I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Like, what is this sorcery? Like you're moving the machine, right? So I'm learning, like, and I'm like, oh, I have to have it.
Yeah.
So I went and I bought it. And it was like a Brother 1500, which is still my regular machine now.
Mhm.
And then this dream frame. And so I literally taught myself from YouTube videos how to use this frame to do free motion. And then within a year, I'm like, oh no, I need a bigger one. Right. Of
Yeah.
course, because this was like a 9-inch throat space. It was enough to learn. And then, I
Yeah.
started like, I need another one. So one of the big issues living here is we really don't have mail.
Mm.
The pandemic shut down all the mail system here. So we have no mail and we have extremely high import tax. So
Mm.
anything I want from the US is really expensive. And so I really wanted this Brother Dream Quilter 15X because it was discontinued and I could get it for a cheaper price.
Mhm.
Because our import tax is 42%. So
42%.
42%. So I really wanted this machine. So I had to strategize like a cheaper price so it will offset the taxes. Yeah, the
Yeah.
tax. So if something is over $400 and over 8 pounds, then you pay like a 42% tax. So yeah, I really wanted the machine. So within a year of having the machine, I needed a bigger frame, right?
Mhm.
Of course,
Naturally.
I was rocking this hoop frame, which is fine. I got another hoop frame recently. So I have two. Um, so yeah, I needed a 12-foot, frame, and so
Yeah.
then I had to pay 42% tax on that. And
Oh
so,
my gosh.
but that's how passionate I was willing to pay this because I wanted to learn and I wanted to like improve, and I needed the tools. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's where I'm kind of, and then I got a new machine, a 21X from Grace, the
Mhm.
21X Elite. So that's what I'm using now. And the
Nice.
old Brother 15 is on a hoop frame from Grace that I just got recently.
Nice.
So that's kind of like, I mean, I say self-taught, but it was the classes that I took online
Mhm.
um, during the pandemic. And a little after that really took my quilting up. And
Yeah.
yeah, Yeah, it's some classes I took.
That's awesome. Yeah, and like the pandemic was such a driver for so many people, and like good for you for getting sober again because that's so hard. And like I'm married to a sober person, so I understand that there's a lot behind it. And like, and I mean, yeah, it's just it's hard. And so I'm proud of you. But also quilting is so magic, and it's not crazy to say it saved you because like when you need that outlet or you need something to do with your hands, like you can channel all of that like energy into making something beautiful. And I think that has such therapeutic power. Like I'm never going to be the person to say that like quilting is therapy because therapy is therapy, but quilting is therapeutic and
Yeah.
people can come at me. I don't care. I'm going to stand by that. But the therapeutic benefits are always obviously there. So like
Mhm.
there's just some magic in it. And I'm like you. I started and I was like, well, I'm doing this for the rest of my life.
This is who I am now.
Yeah. This is my
Exactly.
entire personality. Welcome to the shit show.
100%. Yes. I am a big believer in quilting as my therapy. In fact, I am wearing a t-shirt. The quilting is my therapy
Yeah.
t-shirt with Angela Walters.
Yeah.
Um, big fan
Yeah.
of her. I mean, she helped me so much in my learn, like her quilt alongs.
Yeah.
That's how I learned a ton. And then last June, I was like, you know what? I mean, she was like my quilting hero, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna go take long arming classes with Angela Walters. So I
Yeah.
did. I
Ah,
went to Liberty, Missouri. I took a week of classes with her. It was so amazing. And not just like, oh, that I learned a lot because I had already like built the skill set, right?
yeah.
But the confidence that she
Yeah.
gave me. Like
Yeah.
she came and over and like, look, Amy, you really are ready to teach. And I'm like, what? No, like me.
Me?
So like it gave me so much confidence.
Yeah.
Just spending a week with her, it was amazing. I loved it.
That's beautiful. And yeah, she's stellar. I'm like you. I just like get mesmerized by watching her. I don't do a lot of free motion, but like it's always in the back of my head. And I am gonna take Carly Porter's class, so I'm
Are
gonna
you?
do
Yeah,
graffiti.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited because yeah, like I have a huge long arm. We went full in like biggest
Mm.
APQS machine we can get our hands on, computer, like everything. But I'm like, there's always been something in me that like wants to free motion. So I'm excited. But yeah, her work is beautiful. And like, that's so cool that you took the time to go and like give
Yeah.
that gift to yourself because yeah, it's like, it's so like, it can be so meditative and so like get in your zone and just like, you can be so reflective during that time. I think that the meditative, like, or the repetitive motions of quilting and like all the little wins along the way, like, it's you get to check off a bunch of stuff that's like okay, I trimmed those threads, check, I like cut those corners,
Yeah.
check, it's like all these little wins that you get to put under your belt every single time that you sew or make a quilt. And it's even with the mistakes, it's still like no, but look at this thing I made. Like who cares that I had to seam rip it 55 times? Like that accomplishment feels so good. It's like really
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, I love being a professor, but if I could be a long arm quilter full time, like I think I would love it. Like, I mean, unfortunately, living here, it's not an option because
Right.
I do have clients. I am only two people in Ecuador have long arms, me and this other woman who is in another city, but she doesn't quilt for clients. She only quilts for herself. And so I'm the only one that's quilting for clients. So I do have some. There are some
Yeah.
groups of people who quilt here. But if I could do it full time, I'm like, but then I would have to move to the US. So am I willing to give up my life? No, no.
Right.
So then I just quilt. I just finished a king custom quilting job yesterday, and it was a beast. It was huge, and it was a ton of feathers, and like I mean I love doing it, but it took me like 6 days in a row of all day quilting.
Yeah.
My whole spring break, but I loved it anyway, so it was great. But yeah, if I could do it full time. But so that's why teaching this quilting class has like kind of like checking that box because I'm going to teach a summer class. I never teach summers, but this summer I'm teaching a quilting class. I'm like, that's not even work. Like, that's
Yeah.
just fun. So yeah, super
Yeah.
excited.
Oh man. That'll be so fun. And it's like, yeah, you're doing something constructive. And I mean, not that learning literature is not constructive because it absolutely is, but there's just something different than making something with your hands and like teaching other people. I've gotten so much self-confidence from learning to sew and to quilt and pushing myself to try new things. And so watching other people get to have that experience of like maybe they've never used a sewing machine or they've never hand sewn anything and they make this thing and actually do what they're supposed to do and come out with this finished product. It's like, see, look, you can do hard things. Like it's just like those little, again, those little wins and those like little accomplishments that
Yeah.
just help build up your confidence and like push you to be able to like, you know what, maybe I could try something a little harder and
Mhm.
consider like consider yourself differently than maybe the perspective you hold. Hey there. I'm here to talk to you about smart labels. Back in April, we did an episode about organizing your space, and smart labels were featured as one of those things that can help you. It's spring cleaning time, and your future self will love you for getting these labels. Here's how they work. You buy the Smart Labels QR code labels, you stick them on your storage bins, you download the app, you scan the codes, and you can catalog all the stuff in your bins. You can put the name, descriptions, pictures even to help you know what's in your bins. Then, months down the road, when you're looking for that one thing you know you have somewhere, you can just search in the app and it will tell you exactly where you put it. Seriously, I love these things. I've tried them in my studio. I've used them on bins where I've got a bunch of different fabric, and I can just find it so easily because of smart labels. They are organizing magic. So, if you're doing some spring cleaning, if you're getting ready for a summer move, or just wanting to get organized, you need to check out Smart Labels. Just do a search on Amazon for Smart Labels, one word, and get started with your Smart Labels pack today.
Well, I'm excited for you to take the Carly Porter class. That's amazing. You're going to do some graffiti quilting.
Yeah,
She was a guest speaker. I'm in a membership of Susan Smith. I've taken her freehand master class, and I'm in her advanced membership. And Carly Porter was a guest speaker on one of our lessons. And I
hmm,
took that like it was from that one class, and I did like a whole quilt of graffiti quilting, and it's just amazing. Like I love it. I love the style. I love everything about it. I
yeah,
wish I could take class. I haven't signed up. I do have recommendations for other classes as well. If you want to learn feathers, I mean, I'm sure you already
yeah.
have it. Before I took Feather Fiesta by Beth Ann Nemish, I could not even draw feathers.
I'm gonna
Like
write it down.
okay, it's called Feather Fiesta
Feather Fiesta.
by Beth Ann Nemish, which is White Arbor Quilting. I couldn't draw feathers. I had tried and tried and tried, and
Yeah,
I took her class, and now I'm just like, rocking all kinds of feathers, right?
yeah. I
She
can't.
teaches it in this amazing way that it just clicks.
Oh,
Like it
good.
finally clicked, and it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. No, feathers scare the shit out of me. Like I've never tried. I mean, I kind of tried one time and I was like, "Yep, nope, not doing that today." And I just haven't taken the time to like sit down and find any resources to learn how. I think because I'm so, I'm like, that's like a future me that has more time to play around and practice that kind of thing. Just because,
Yeah.
the business, it's like I gotta focus on the quilts that I'm hired to make, and I gotta focus on long arming the client quilts and that kind of thing. And if I'm making any of my own quilts, I just like pick an edge to edge and let it go, and that's good enough. And but I really do like I want to be able to custom quilt my own stuff. And even for clients, like I think it would be there's so few people who do it anymore for
Mhm.
other people. And I understand why. I'm not here to be like, you should just do it anyway, because it's hard. It's a lot of hard work. And
A lot of work.
I mean,
Mhm.
you're on your feet all day
Mhm.
long, 6 days in a row to quilt something custom for somebody else. And it's like, can you feasibly charge enough for that? Are people going to pay it? And there's just like all these other like swirling questions, but
Right.
I want the
And
ability.
I charge what I call Ecuador prices for my quilting, which is really, really low. Like I know that there's like controversy in the US, like, oh, this quilter is charging too little. But
Yeah.
here I'm basing it on where I live, right? And the
Yeah.
price, like minimum wage here is $475 a month, right? So I'm basing my prices on that. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I do it because I love it. It's not for the money. If I were, doing it for money, then yeah, I'd be rocking robotics, of course. Like
Yeah.
if I had tons of quilts, right?
Right.
But yeah, I'm doing it because I love it. And yeah, and I don't know. I look at things like I want to try everything. So
Yeah.
it's like, for example, I want to try couching. So let me
Mm.
try couching. Oh, I can do it. Great. Or I want to try thread painting. So
Mhm.
I'm learning like to do some thread painting right now. And I love it, right? But then there's things like I want to try it. If I can do it, great, but do I enjoy it? And so I
Yeah.
think that's like most important. Do I enjoy it? I'm trying the weaving now. Love it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, when it comes to like learning designs, though,
Hmm.
what's hard here is the fabric.
Yeah.
Getting. I mean, I use cheap fabric, when I'm learning, right? So, but then what am I going to do? I have a ton of quilts, right? So a ton of quilts because that's what I want to learn a motif or I want to learn some edge to edge designs. But I started like about a year ago. I started just buying like baby size and making baby quilts when I want to learn a design. And then I've been donating them
Oh yeah.
to have a lot of Venezuelan migrants
Oh,
that come through Ecuador. And so, yeah, I've donated tons of baby quilts.
that's amazing. But it's like you're gonna make the quilt anyway. You're going to because you're gonna practice and hone your skills. Like, of course, then there's gonna be surplus. So it's like, yeah, what do you do with that? And you can't
Right.
keep them all. And I mean, you could, I guess, but I mean, you'd have to have like an entire house made of quilts, which wouldn't be so bad.
Right. I have a spare bedroom that has like two of those like big quilt ladders, that you
Yeah.
they're full. I'm like, okay, but I gotta I gotta stop.
Yeah.
But I'll give them as gifts at some point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's hard because it's like there's so much cool stuff out there and there's so many cool ways to like make beautiful things and yeah, trying stuff and like, oh, I want to make something with that. And it's like, okay, I did it. Now what do I do with it? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
but
want to try all the things.
yeah. Yeah. And that's where I'm at. I'm like, I just need to like do the stuff that I keep saying I want to do and like push myself to do it. And like it's gonna be work to balance everything, but it's worth it to me. And I'm excited for the experience to like learn a new skill and to like validate that for myself that I can do that. And I think I see people's like custom free motion stuff and I'm like, I don't know how my brain could like wrap around that and do it. But something in Carly's art resonated with like my high school, middle school self and the way I used to doodle and like just like make pretty things in the margins of my notebooks and, whatever. And so I think like going back to that and like tapping into like my inner teenager and like feeling
Mhm.
supported through that, I think is going to be super fun. But yeah, anyway, so with your baby quilts, like are you doing like whole cloth kind of things or are you piecing
Yeah.
to quilt or
Usually whole cloth. I am not a fan of piecing. I mean, it sounds, I don't know. I think it
yeah.
sounds a little crazy. I'm a quilter, but I don't like piecing. It's one of those things that I have done, and
Mhm.
I'm like, I like to try things, and then can I do it? But did I enjoy it? And
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I don't really enjoy it. So I will do whole cloths. I'm interested in learning some art quilt techniques soon. That's on my list. I joined Sakwa recently, the studio art quilts, and
Mhm.
I'm enjoying lurking and looking at everything. But I do want to try art quilting. But no, don't like piecing. If I
Yeah.
need to make a gift, then I will piece. But for example, and I've never really been into like the sew-alongs, but I signed up for one sew-along and I bought the pattern because I love Libs Elliott. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
So I signed up for the lightning bolt one.
Yeah.
I got the fabric, I bought the pattern. I go upstairs like on my cutting board and I look at the instructions and I just got like, no. And then I just put it away
Oh
and I didn't
no.
do it. And so then with that cool fabric though, I did make a quilt coat.
There you go.
Yeah, the quilt coat turned out great. And I'm sure if I would have like, I don't know, given it more of a chance, I would have been fine because that lightning bolt quilt was amazing. And I really wanted to do it. And then I just got overwhelmed. I mean, just cutting instructions, I get overwhelmed. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And I'm like, what? Like 5/8? What's that? Like the whole math stuff? I'm like, no. So yeah, I would rather be at the long arm with a whole cloth, just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
drawing.
Yeah. No, like that's super valid because I mean, just because you're a piecer doesn't mean you're a quilter, and just, vice versa. It's like you can have any aspect of any of it and still have space in the quilting community. It's like there's so many different aspects to the art that like you don't have to do every single part of it and love every single part of it because again, like you said, some people just don't like piecing. It's overwhelming. It's not the cutting fabric is so repetitive. And like I'm here to tell you, it's my least favorite part. So I mean, I
Yeah.
don't mind piecing so much, but yeah, definitely cutting fabric is like the worst thing in the entire world. So I have to like make myself a checklist and like I like even though I have the pattern, I will like rewrite everything in a way that makes more sense to my brain to look at it. And then I'll put little check boxes next to everything. Like I really need that tangible thing, that list that I've made to be able to check off the boxes of the pieces I've cut and like know
Yeah.
that they're there. And that helps, but I still really hate it. So I don't blame you for being like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, so I collaborate a lot with Pixel Quilts, and
Yes.
her name is Dee, and she just finished a quilt this morning that she's going to be sending to me to quilt for her, and she cut over 4,000 pieces. Like, and I'm like, how do you do that? Like, yeah, I
No.
don't, nope, not for me. I mean, yeah, so she has her thing, I have my
Yeah.
thing, we bring it together, and we've done some cool quilts, so
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, and you guys were like still collaborating like mid quilt con on the Amy Winehouse quilt, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. I had brought it from Ecuador. She cut it like on the floor, on the concrete floor of QuiltCon, and then used the machine at the Grace Company to put the binding on, and
My
then hand
gosh.
sewed the binding in our hotel room. Like, yeah. So yeah, that quilt will be in the England, the Birmingham Festival of Quilts. So I'm excited to go and see it. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you quilted lyrics, some of her lyrics into it, right?
Yeah, so on the face, the lyrics to Rehab,
Mm,
and then on the Sinead O'Connor quilt, on the face, I did a bunch of research and pulled out quotes from Sinead O'Connor, what she said about her mental health and her life, and so
yeah.
yeah, I did graffiti quilting on the background of the Sinead quilt, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, so cool. Oh, she's like giving stickers of her quilts. And like
Mhm.
my oldest stepson, he saw the posty quilt and he was like,
Oh,
"What is this?" He's like, "Why do you have a sticker of Post Malone?" I'm like, "It's a quilt." He was like, "Shut up. No, it's not." He was like looking at it. I'm like, "Those are all like little squares." Like I'm like, "Yeah, this lady D, she like pixelates pictures and like of people and she like makes she did one of like I'm like, here's the queen, here's Sinead O'Connor, here's Maya Angelou." He was like, "What?" It was like,
what? All of a sudden quilting's cool because of
yeah.
post for sure.
Yeah. He's always been nice and like well, he likes it even more because I made him quilts with seal minky on the back. And
Mhm.
no, he's a nice boy. So he's always like, "Wow, that's so cool." But that was
Nice.
like breaking his brain. I'm like, "Yeah." And then this lady Amy, she like quilts them for her and she like does all this really cool stuff and like writes lyrics and like does all this like cool like I'm like, "I wish I could zoom in on these pictures to show you." And he's like, "You know some pretty cool people, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, I do
Right?
actually."
exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I was like, I met them at QuiltCon and they were so cool. And like, I felt so cool. And he was like, thumbs up. I'm like, okay. So 22-year-olds don't think I'm that cool, just in case you were wondering. But anyway, well, that's
So
cool. And so, like, how did you guys get into collaboration? Because I clearly you're very far apart. She's in Oklahoma and you're in Ecuador. So, like, how did your paths cross?
right. So Instagram, for sure. I knew from her posts that we were going to like each other, right? You can just
Yeah.
tell sometimes like people's posts or their sense of humor. And I had told her I was going to go to Missouri to this Angela Walters thing. And she's like, "Oh my God, that's only 4 hours away. I'll come and see you." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" Oh, yeah, I'm like, well, there's this quilt walk that they host at that Quilting is My Therapy hosts this quilt walk every year. Um, and so she came and we did the quilt walk together, which was really fun.
Yeah.
I wish I could go. It's June 8th this year, and it's
Oh,
Jenny Doan is the guest. There's always like a guest, right?
yeah.
And so I don't think I can go this year, but
Mm.
it was a lot of fun. You walk around, it's like this little old town. Um, that's just a beautiful little town square. I loved the town. It was really like you're in the 1950s or 60s or something. And then you go from shop to shop and you get like a quilt block pattern. And yeah, you get to learn about the town and all the little stores. And so Dee came and we spent the day doing this quilt walk and hung out. And yeah, that's how we met.
That's
I mean,
so
yeah,
fun.
she took a chance on coming to meet me. Could have been like, I could have been crazy, which I kind of am, but and we really connected. And yeah, we talked about the Sinead quilt and made it happen. So it's hard. I wish I could do more quilting, like especially for her and other people in the US. But
Mhm.
so because of the shipping restrictions we have and the taxes and da 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 da, but we do have people who go back and forth
Mm.
from US to Ecuador as a living, like a job, and they charge $8 a pound
Mhm.
for stuff that you want to bring, which is cheap compared to other ways.
Yeah.
Um, and they have set fees, like if you want to bring a phone or a laptop and so for me to get a quilt, Dee will send this quilt that she finished today to Florida
Mhm.
to my mule. I don't know if that's politically incorrect, but
Your
like
quilt mule.
a mule who will bring it to Quito. And that will cost probably $30. And then for me to send it back will be like another $30. But yeah, so there's people who do this. So I can get things cheaper than the 42%. Of course, I can't get a long arm or a frame,
Right, right,
my mule can't carry that, but
right.
little things, yeah. And
They're
so
like,
she'll,
don't mind this 14-foot pole. It's fine.
right, fine.
Look the other way.
So yeah, we have this system. We've got the
That's
system down, and so yeah.
wow. It's so wild to me. Like, because, like, yeah, of course, it's like, oh, we've got all these taxes. And it's like, okay, I get that. It's probably like hard to get things there. And if, like you said, their mail system is like non-existent, then something's got to give somewhere, right? And so it's like humans are so smart. Like, we're so creative and so like clever. So people to be like, you know what, I'm gonna just do this way and avoid all this craziness. It's like, yeah, of course. Like, that's so cool. It's,
Yeah.
$60 total round trip from Oklahoma to Ecuador seems pretty cheap. Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not bad at all, actually. And
that's
so
so cool. Wow.
I would love to, yeah, be able to continue doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love working with her. In fact, yeah, we have another quilt in the works. Yeah.
Mm,
And
really.
so so I love the projects that we do.
Yeah. And that's like, and it's so fun when you like mesh with somebody like that because then you like, it's like you almost feed each other's creativity and like she knows that she has someone who can like amplify her work and you're inspired by her work, which then allows you to do what you do. And like those kinds of like relationships and connections are so important and so amazing to see take place because it's so inspiring and like, yeah, I can make something cool too. Like, and
Yeah.
I think to me, it like really I guess like I knew people would like, work together, collaborate, whatever. They're like send each other quilts or blocks or whatever. And
Mhm.
but I think for some reason, like seeing you guys and like go then follow you on Instagram, seeing all your guys' work together and stuff, it just like made me go, you know what, I can do stuff like that. Like it's not going to be the same thing, obviously, because that's your guys' thing, but like just the concept that like I could reach out to the people I admire on Instagram and be like, hey, do you want to work on something together? And like it's totally a thing. It's happening right now. I've got a couple of different things in the works with people just for the
Nice.
two of us, but it's like
Mhm.
I can have that too. And so you guys being able to share your relationship and share your collaborations, I think is just inspiring other people to do that too. Cause I think it can be kind of isolating quilting also. Like,
Yeah. It really can, especially longarm quilters. I feel like, yeah, we are pretty much on our own, or at least I am in Ecuador, especially.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I needed that connection. And so I put myself out there by doing the whole dancing thing. I do these videos like just dancing and like, but it really is like me because even as a teacher, I'm like dancing in the classroom or like woohoo, like
Mhm.
just really silly and having fun and trying to like spread joy, but it is also like trying to attract like, others like me. I need friends. Like
Yeah.
and so yeah, I do that to I don't know. I'm lonely when I'm quilting and dancing and singing and I do that anyway. So why not just like, put it out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because I think, well, and that's the funny thing. Like, I didn't know who you or Dee, like, I'd heard about Dee just because people were talking about her. And oh, it's because of her dress, like the dress she was wearing on the first morning of QuiltCon. I was like, I'm gonna throw up. I love it so much.
Amazing
And she's
dresses.
a
Yeah.
beautiful angel and I love her. And then, yeah, but then I got to meet you guys. And so I like saw your, went and found your Instagrams and I was like, "Ugh, I wish I'd known about the dancing thing before because I totally would have danced with you. Like, ah,
Darn
and
it. Yes.
like my, so I have like these nicknames. My friends, when I started learning to sew and quilt, they call me the cussy crafter, the cussy quilter, because I just like words just like fly out of my mouth
Nice.
when I'm like make doing puzzles or if I'm like sewing, when I'm like in the zone, just weird stuff comes out. My husband's like, I can't be around you when you do puzzles because you're fucking weird. And I'm like, I, I mean, I know. Anyway, but like also the dancing and the singing and like I just have to do these like little things to like keep my brain focused or like especially like you said, long arming is so lonely because you're just focused on your quilt and especially if you're doing hand guided, free
Mhm.
motion, custom, like you have to be wholly focused on your quilt. You can't talk to people, you can't, it's not like you're sitting and sewing with friends at a table like you're all working on something separate. Like it it's hard. And so I think any little thing you can do to like find other people and find friends who are like, "Oh, I like that energy. That speaks to me," and like make those connections. I think again, it's a therapeutic thing and it's important because you like being alone with your thoughts can be so dangerous and like can be a scary place sometimes. And so like I can wholeheartedly get behind like finding ways to make connections outside of yourself and outside of, you know, your own little bubble because it's easy to just like close
Right.
everything out and be like, I'm just gonna focus on this. And but then before you know it, you're like, wait, what day is it? And yeah, so that's man. Yeah. And then like seeing your like uh Instagram stories and like all the stuff floating around of like people dancing with you at QuiltCon. I was like, I got really jealous. I was like, dang, I wish I would have known.
I
But
wish you would have known too. Yeah, that was
we're
fun. Because I do these like dancing videos all the time. And so then I was like, oh, I'm going to QuiltCon. If you want to dance, let me know. Like, woohoo. But I didn't know it would be like, yeah, like I was exhausted. I was exhausted from dancing so much. Like but it was so much fun. Yeah, it
yeah,
was a lot. And
you better
so
believe Phoenix is gonna be a dance party.
gonna be a day and I would love to do someone mentioned like a flash mob and I'm like 100% like I would totally do a flash mob. Like how much fun would that be?
That'd be hilarious. I'm in. Just let me know. Let me know the
All right.
details. I'm in. That's so fun.
Gonna have to like record the steps and send it out to people. We have
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
all, yeah, flash
That's so
mob.
funny. I do like a dance cardio class called Body Jam at the
Nice.
gym, and it's so fun because it's just like all kinds of music. It's like all different genres and just like all different styles of dance, just moving your body. It's such a good time. It's a party every Tuesday night. And our instructor, love her to death. Like she's the coolest person in the whole wide world. But so like, everything was shut down during the pandemic, and one of my best friends was getting married in 2020. And so we still did like a small outdoor wedding, but one of her like bridal shower kind of surprises is we got our the instructor of the body jam class to come teach us, and like she choreographed this dance to a Backstreet Boys song because we were gonna do it as the bride, like we were gonna do that at the reception. And so they just moved their wedding date to like a year later. They still got married in 2020, but then had like the actual big wedding on the year, on their 1 year anniversary. And so then we got to do the
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys like choreographed dance, and it was like the best night ever. We were having so much fun. And so I'm like, I'm all in for that kind of thing. It's just like so fun, and
Yeah. We
and
have to
moving
get,
your body is so good, like especially when you're
mhm.
standing at a quilting machine.
Yeah, yeah. I think when I finished the other night, had been quilting all day, and I think it was like 7 p.m. and I had even worn like compression socks like 2 days in a row because I knew I was going to be like, at the machine. And I was like, oh, I can finish it, and I'm like, oh God, I can barely stand. Like
Yeah.
I need to sit down. And so yeah, I finished it the next morning because I was like, I got to that breaking point, like
Yeah.
where I'm like, uh-oh, the knees are buckling.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
I
lot.
wanted to ask you, because
Sure.
I was listening to your last podcast and you mentioned going on the Camino de Santiago.
Yes. Yeah.
What?
I know.
Um,
Yeah.
so my dream so I have a birthday coming up. It's a big one. I'm going to be 50.
How
What?
exciting.
In April. And so about a year ago, I'm like, oh, for my 50th, I'm going to do the Camino. And I really was like, okay, I'm going to do this. But what happened was I went to Houston Quilt Show. I did Quilt Market and the Quilt Festival, and my legs hurt so bad from all the walking, um, that like they hurt for like weeks afterwards. I had walked that much that I
Yeah.
was like, I can't do no Camino. I can't even do Houston Quilt Festival.
Right.
So I kind of gave up on the dream for now,
Oh no.
because of the Quilt Fest. I was like, nope, can't do it.
Really? Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but I'm so excited for you. When do you go?
Thank you. Yeah, we leave at the beginning of July,
Yeah.
and we're spending a couple days in Amsterdam because it was cheaper to fly into Amsterdam, which is fine with me. I've never been there, so I'm like, well, yeah, let's go. And then we're gonna take a train to Paris and spend a couple days around Paris, and then from there we'll train up to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and then start from there. And we're doing the French way, and so Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port is where you start,
Uh,
and then we'll be back in the middle of August. So
that's
yeah,
amazing. That's so exciting. I
yeah,
was going to do the shortest, the 100 kilometers, like the
yeah.
English way, or way, like, but yeah. So I'm excited to, will you be posting pictures along the way,
Oh
maybe,
yeah,
or I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
yeah,
It's still something I want to do.
yeah,
I got discouraged by the leg pain in the use.
yeah. I was a little worried just because, like, I mean, obviously, like I do dance, I work out, I lift weights, I'm like pretty
Yeah.
active, and my husband's very active, like, and he's 50, like he'll be 51 by the time we go. So like it's a thing, you can still do it. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, he's always been a runner too, so he's always had like way more fitness than me, and I'm like, you could go over there, it's fine. But I think the difference that you have to consider is that at like Quilt Market and Quilt Con, like you're standing a lot on
Mhm.
concrete floors, and
Right.
you're not just like, you don't have that forward momentum all the time. And so like even though you're getting a lot of steps and walking, it's like when we do our kind of training long walks or long hikes on the weekends, I never feel the way that I felt like after the first day of QuiltCon, like getting back to the hotel and just being like, my feet hurt so bad,
Yeah.
even though I was wearing my good shoes and like whatever, like that standing on concrete and the standing around and even standing at the quilting machine is just such a completely different thing than actually like moving forward and like walking all that way. And so it's still tiring. I'm like, I'm not here to say that walking 9 miles with 16 pounds on my back is like so easy, but I did have to like note that difference because I've done so many of those longer walks and like I love walking and we've got hills nearby here. Like we're at the base of foothills and we've got, it's like over 100 miles of trails out in those hills. And so we've been all over the place and like never have I ever felt the way I felt. Like it's like, you know,
You're
just
right. You're right.
hard. So I think give yourself some grace there because that's like a completely different kind of stress on your body. And like I've talked to so many people and we've watched a million YouTube videos and there's just all these people that like I just went and did it and it was hard, but like people who had never like done anything really just like got up and went because they just felt called to do it. And I've talked to people who are like, oh, I've done it like 10 times and they're not necessarily, they're just like, I just go. Like I don't prepare, I don't train, I just go. And so I think, you know, I believe in you. I think you can do it. Just
Well,
just meet us
I'll see
there.
you.
Yeah. I'm like,
See
meet
how
me
you do
there
it.
on July 8th and we'll go.
Okay, I'll just be
I'll,
there.
yeah, I'll see you in France. No, no.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We went, I like, so 2 years ago was our 10th anniversary. And my husband had never been to Spain. He's been all over Europe, was a military brat, and then he was in the military and took every TDY he could. And he was in aeronautics, so he did like electrical work on the aircraft. And so he went all over the place for that. And Spain was like the one place he had never been. And I was like, we gotta go. I had gone in high school and was like, I'm forever changed.
Uh-huh.
And so we spent 2 weeks in Barcelona like 2 summers ago, and he just was, just learning about Spain and whatever. He found out about the Camino and he was like, I'm sorry, we're doing this. And I was like, okay. Oh, take me back to Spain, twist my arm. Oh, but um and then our oldest son is like, I'm coming too. We're like, all right, we'll see you over there. Like, so
Cool.
yeah,
Nice.
it was just we have been practicing a little bit just for me because I have to get used to the pack and I'm getting there. Like this last one we did was not as long, but we went out in the hills and did some like elevation stuff and some pretty steep climbing just to like get that kind of practice in. Cause the first day when you go the French way, you're going over the mountains and
Yeah.
crossing into Spain. So that's the hardest day then
Mhm.
the rest is all just like pretty flat walking. So I'm like, I need to at least like get used to this a little bit. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna be gone for most of the summer, but I'm like,
Exciting and well worth it.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I will be posting and I don't know how frequently, just based on like we're gonna be in like little towns and places that maybe not won't have like great
Right.
cell service or anything. So we'll see. But yeah, I definitely want to be posting pictures and I'm gonna make like a mini quilt to hang on my backpack and
Nice.
because
Aw.
you hang the pilgrim shell, the peregrino shell, and then I'm gonna have a little quilt that goes with it. So
Awesome.
yeah.
That's so cool. I'm excited for you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So, and we couldn't just like do a short one. We're like, no, if we're going, we're gonna do
Yeah,
the
do the whole.
hardest, longest.
I want to do the minimum 100 kilometers.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great because I think, people if they don't know really about it, they think, oh my gosh, you're like backpacking all that time. It's like, yeah, you're carrying your backpack, but there's like also so many ways you can like find different accommodations and you can pay extra and have people transport your things to the next town.
Be in that.
And yeah. And and it's great. It's like however you do it, just do it, it's not
I would
I haven't
only
even
be because I've had 4 back surgeries. So
oh
I would do the pay because they will like take your pack,
yeah.
from place to place. So I would have to do that. Not because I'm lazy,
Yeah.
because I have serious back problems.
Yeah.
Just wanted
No,
to
and
justify that.
yeah. I I'm I have no like I'm just like excited that people are out there doing it and finding that the will within themselves to do it because it is still, you're still walking pretty far and putting yourself
Mm.
through that day after day. And I don't know. I'm like talking about it like I've been there, but I haven't done it yet. So
Soon.
soon, very soon. Oh, I'm so excited.
It's
But
exciting.
we'll see what happens. I don't know. I have a wonky knee, so my husband's like, if it feels weird at all, we'll quit, we'll come home. I'm like, I'll be fine. Because I'm like
Oh,
limping along. No.
right. I'm fine.
Yeah. But like our long walks and stuff, I just like make sure to wear support and it's been fine. So I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It's gonna be
Mhm.
fine.
It
We'll
is.
see. But anyway, yeah. So, oh, I wanted to ask you, and this popped in my head a while ago, but we were talking about quilting. So of course I was like later. Um, but I wanted to ask, like, how are your literature courses going? Like, are you finding that there's lots of interest in it and people are like really receptive to, you know, just like a different approach to literature? Like,
Mhm.
you like, I guess when I was in college in the early 2000s, the it wasn't really like still even then like wasn't really in the like main like concept of college that you would take like LGBTQ literature or like that was like really a big thing. So,
Yeah, so I started this class, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago, and from the first offering, it has been full and always like people wanting in the class. So it's like, I mean, the students are amazing.
mhm,
Um, first of all, and I feel like the university and Ecuador was ready for that,
yeah,
for this T class, and it's amazing. The kids are so like cool and open-minded, and yeah, they love the books I choose, and it's always, yeah, full, and like I say I want to teach art, but I can't imagine like giving up this one literature class that I love and has been so meaningful.
yeah,
Yeah, it's great. Ecuador passed gay marriage right after the US passed. Was it like 2020 or
mm,
2019 maybe?
yeah,
Yeah, so that was a big deal here
yeah,
in a very Catholic country, very conservative.
hmm,
Um, yeah, so yeah, it's been amazing. I love it. The kids are just fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And so like it's such a testament that like people are hungry for new and openness and like you know, learning about other people's experiences and how they can be involved and like understand it so that they can be a better citizen of the world. And like, I love that there's been such interest for you and like just
Mhm.
giving you that, like, I don't know, maybe confidence to keep doing what you're doing, but also like the validation that like you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and it's helped me to be able to be more open and be myself, like where in the past I wasn't very open, wasn't very like out in my professional life, and now I'm very, and it's giving me that confidence and being comfortable being myself, and so that's. But like even when I entered the quilting world, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm not like the other quilters, like
Yeah.
I came across Zach Foster, who had this queer quilters like zine, right, that you print
Hmm.
out. I was like, wait, what? There's there's other queer quilters like me, like there's other people like me, and so then I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling like, more welcoming, more open. Like at QuiltCon this year, they had the affinity spaces,
Right.
and so I hosted one of the LGBTQAI affinity spaces, and so that was like, oh yeah, we are here, we are present, and we are accepted,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was, so it's helped me in all areas, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. And I loved to see that QuiltCon was offering that. Like, here's some space where people can just come together and be in their own space that's like, okay, we don't have to like pretend anything for anybody else right now. We can just like be our full selves in front of each other and support each other in that. And
Yeah.
not that it needs to be separated, but like sometimes I think especially if you're like on social media all the time and you have this kind of, you feel like you have this like presence that you have to put forth for people so they are comfortable with you, if that makes sense. Like giving
Yeah.
you, like having a space where you can go and just be like, okay, take that mask off for a minute and just like be. Like, I don't know. I
Hey.
just thought that was really cool because even with like anxiety, it's like you kind of just need a quiet space for a minute. And so,
Mhm.
like, having a designated time and space for people to meet with people with the same whatever it was. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what all the affinity groups
Mhm.
were, but like, I just
Yeah.
thought that was really cool.
Is a lot, right? It is a lot. And then, so having this space was like, oh, okay, cool. Like we can just chill and then meet everybody. Cause
Yeah.
I'd only met like a couple people in the room and there were like 25 of us. And so that
Yeah.
was really cool. There was also a Latinx affinity space. And I was like, ooh, I want to go so bad, but I'm not like Latina,
You're like,
even though
hey.
I have an Ecuadorian passport. Like I am like
Yeah.
Ecuadorian, but no, I didn't go because I'm like, oh, but that's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had an African American affinity space. And so yeah, they're gonna have it again in Phoenix. So it was
Good.
just yeah.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I loved to see that because I think like as we well know, the especially in the US, quilting is dominated by middle-aged white women and so it can probably feel really lonely and isolating to be in a sea of like probably straight presenting, seemingly kind of conservative white older ladies. And so to be like, actually, here's a space where you can go hang out with people who are like you so that you don't have to feel like you're alone. And I just love that because I'm a middle-aged white woman, so I'm here to say like,
Ew.
yeah,
Just
I know,
joking.
gross. But I loved that and that's really cool. And I'm happy that you were able to host that and be a part of creating a safe space for people to be who they are. And hopefully soon we can keep edging our way into like making it that that's just how it is in public and you don't have to have an affinity space necessarily because the
Mhm.
general public is open and loving and accepting. And do you think you'll try to host it or be one of the hosts again next year or
Yeah, for sure. I had a
yeah.
great time. And now that I've done it, I have more ideas of how to how to do it better,
Yeah.
that so they did ask for feedback, and so we was able to get feedback on what changes for next year, and so that's cool that they really wanted that feedback to improve, and so
Yeah.
I'm excited to be part of it, and I would definitely like to host again.
Yeah. That's awesome. Did you guys was it just like a sit and chill? Did you have like
Yeah, it was a sit and chill.
things?
I did some like free, like I got Crimson Tate to give some stickers and some pencils and
Mm,
like some little freebies, and Maddie from Badass Quilter gave some stickers. So
yeah.
that was cool. I had like a table of like, some free things, and I brought chocolate from Ecuador
Ooh.
to have like little. So if you didn't know, Ecuador produces some of the best chocolate in the world, and so always winning gold, silver, and bronze at
Yeah.
chocolate festivals. So yeah, I brought some chocolate, and so yeah, that was cool to have some little things.
Yeah. That's amazing. I did know about Ecuador because in Asheville, North Carolina, is um, the French Broad Chocolate Company, and they have
Mhm.
their little chocolate factory right there on next to the French Broad River. That's why I was like, "Oh, French Broad, that's funny." Like my sister-in-law and I were like kind of chuckling about the name. We're like, "Oh, it's because of the river." Okay, cool. Um, Anyway, but we did like their tour and so they like let you taste different types of like chocolate from the farms that they source from and one of them is in Ecuador. So we got to taste 70% cacao Ecuadorian chocolate and it was delicious. I was like, "Ooh, I need like 75 pounds of this."
I will have
But
to bring you some for the next QuiltCon then, for
yeah.
sure.
Well, I can provide stickers for next year too, like some Not Your Granny's Quilt Show stickers.
Yes.
And I can make a exclusive design for you guys.
Awesome.
So
Yes.
we'll get that in the works. Like we can chat behind the scenes about getting that all squared away. But I would love to do that because I want to be an open and welcoming space for everybody and anybody. The only requirement is that you love quilting, and that's all. That's it. I love people and I love
I have to love
everybody. And
teaching, right?
yeah, no, just
Just quilting.
just anything
Okay.
under the umbrella of quilting and
Excellent.
sewing and crafting, really. I don't know. I'm a
No, it's
serial.
important. Thank you for being an ally and wanting to make that space and being open about it, because I mean there are plenty of people who maybe are allies but don't really want to talk about it, but I think it's important. So
Yeah,
thank you very much
of course.
for providing me with a safe space to chat.
Always. I really enjoyed talking to you today and getting to know more about you and how you ended up in Ecuador and your teaching and quilting. And your work is so beautiful, and your energy is so good and so fun. And so I'm so grateful that you were on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great getting to know you. And now you have a place in Ecuador if you ever want to come visit. I don't know if you know, but Ecuador owns the Galapagos Islands. And so, that's kind of a bucket list place. I've been like 6 times to Galapagos. It's crazy, but it's, yeah, amazing. And we also have the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah.
So we have 4 ecosystems. So yeah, come
Wow.
visit us.
Okay. I'll put it on my list. I'll be like, okay, honey, now we're gonna go to Ecuador. And he'll be like, okay, twist my arm. Like,
Fine.
yeah, we love to travel. So anywhere we can, like, we don't mind going places where we don't know people, but it's like if we know a person, it's like makes it even more incentivizing to go. So that's good. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. And hopefully, I mean, obviously we'll stay in contact, but hopefully we can have you on the show again sometime in the future and talk more
So
about quilting.
much, Amanda. It was great.
My friends, were so close. I'm very excited to say that we're close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Now, if you don't watch the show on YouTube, that's okay. I understand that listening is a lot easier on a lot of you for your commutes or however you're engaging with the podcast. I'm so happy that you're here, no matter how you engage. But I am asking that to get us to 1,000, that if you have not already, you head over to youtube.com/notyourgranny's quilt show, head to the show page and like and subscribe. I know it's like a thing that people say, but I'm serious here. Go like and subscribe the show on YouTube, because when we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm doing a ginormous merch giveaway. You heard me, a humongous giveaway. So get on it, get over to YouTube, get subscribed. As soon as that little subscribers ticker hits 1,000, it's giveaway time. So head over to YouTube, head to Not Your Granny's Quilt Show, click subscribe, click the little bell if you want to be notified of new episodes coming out, and let's get to 1,000.